Okay, today we are going to be learning how to add an open house to Matrix. So for those that log into Matrix on their home screen, they see these options here at the top and immediately notice the open house tab. This is what you would use to go search for open houses. You can see what's happening today, what's going to be coming up in the future, and you can also view literally every open house that's ever been entered into Matrix, which is why if you don't have anything already selected, dates active, or otherwise, you will notice that you have thousands of open houses to choose from. So we're not actually going to be doing any of that today. What we're going to be doing is just adding an open house. So what we're going to do is go to edit the listing, not go to the open house tab. So there's a couple ways to edit your listing, a couple ways to get to the edit screen. A lot of folks like to go to My Matrix and then My Listings. This is a way to toggle to various statuses: my active listings, my contingent listings, my incomplete listings. If this is something that has yet to come to the market, but you wanted to go ahead and program an open house in there, this is a way to do it. I prefer going to input because in input you have a quick modify drop down. Now, of course, depending on how many active, on market, or incomplete listings you have, this could be quite a long list here. So if you find that it's a little difficult to scroll through this when you have like 50 or more listings, you may decide to go the My Matrix, My Listings route. But again, this is just a way to get to the edit listing, modify listing screen. So I'm just going to grab this listing from the quick modify dropdown, and then I'm left with my options, and I'm going to get my screen a little bit smaller so the controls are not in the way. Perfect. Okay, so we can see everything, see all the options. All right, so these are the options you have to edit your listing, and what we're going to be doing is adding an open house. So you would just go to the open houses link, and I don't have any open houses. I've never added any open houses to this listing. You would see a history of open houses. If you've done multiple open houses, they will stay there until you hit delete on the right. But from here, it's fairly simple. You would just select the open house type, and the difference between public and tour. Think about what you would want to be shown on, for instance, Zillow or Realtor.com. If you want an active open house to show up on your listing when someone searches it on one of those public-facing websites, you would select public. If you want to just disclose an open house to cooperating brokers in the MLS, then you would choose tour. There's the difference between public and tour. So we're going to do a public open house. The open house date, we'll set it for Saturday. I'm going to hit OK. And then the start time, let's do 11 a.m. and let's have it end at 1:30 p.m. And you'll notice the pre-selected AM and PM radio buttons. Please be very wary about selecting the correct one and not selecting the wrong one. That will not give you an error message if you happen to accidentally put PM here and AM here. All that'll happen is the open house would be unsearchable and no one would be able to find it. And it would, even though it doesn't actually give you an error message, it would still let you submit the open house as if it was a valid open house. Also, we have it, the active here is always a default to yes. Previously, people were not making that selection and they were submitting open houses and they weren't going live. So now we do have this default to yes, but you can change this if you wanted to go ahead and create the open house, but have it set to go on a later time. You will have to actually manually change this. You can't set the date to actually have it go active. Once you set this date, that's the date that's in there. Whether or not it's active is up to you, but you will have to manually make that selection if you choose no and then want to make it active at a later date. So just to be clear, making it no, it will not be searchable, it will not show up, but there's no way for it to automatically go active. You'll have to manually come back through your input or My Matrix, My Listings, edit the listing, go into the open houses screen, and change this to active yes. And then you put in the description. You have up to 1,000 characters. Whether you want to put some additional directions or instructions, advertise a giveaway or who's sponsoring lunch. This is pretty much all up to you how you want to what you want to use this description to give some more details and more incentives. to realtors so that they might attend, or even the public. And then if you hit submit listing, that open house is going to go live immediately. I'm not actually going to make this listing live, just so we're not going to confuse anyone, because this would actually make it a live open house coming on Saturday. But one thing I can do here is hit the validate button, and we'll notice I don't get any error messages. Normally there'd be some kind of red blinking, or not blinking, but a red yield sign saying that there's an error on the page, but I didn't get anything like that. And in fact, what it did was it went ahead and popped open a new open house. So if I needed to make an additional open house, it already said, okay, everything's filled out here. So if you need to go ahead and schedule another one, here's the next field to do so. And you can actually pretty much no limit to adding open houses. You would just click more, more, more. And if you want to get rid of your history, all you have to do is hit delete. And that's all it takes. So in this case, instead of hitting submit, which would make it live, I'm just going to hit delete so that there is no confusion and no one gets the impression we are putting our office on the market. And that's pretty much it. Everything's cleared out. And now I'm just going to hit cancel input. And if you were to hit submit listing, all you would have done is gone to open house. To view the open houses, you would set the date for the 27th, and you could look for all active open houses. And then we have 4 open houses scheduled. Obviously, the one that I was putting in did not get submitted, so it doesn't show up, but your open house should show up immediately upon hitting submit listing. And that is how you add an open house to Matrix.